Okay, welcome everybody. We are live with the Wheel of Shakespeare Challenge for the second week of January. We got 7 people with us today. Maggie, I've got Maggie out of the stream temporarily because this is the first time we've gotten so many players that I've reached the limit of how many people I can keep in the stream at one time. And I've always said we should be so lucky as to have that problem. And you know that's great that we've got this many people participating. But it just means we'll wait till they get spun to perform a monologue or a scene, and at that point we will we'll add you to the stream once you've been spun. So we have a new person here. I'm going to remove everybody from the stream except myself and Matthew, who's new. Give him a second to introduce himself before we get started. Matthew, you want to introduce yourself? Tell everybody a little bit about how you found out about us and what you're looking to get out of.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. My name is Matthew. I never heard of Shakespeare before, but I listened to one of those classical composers who act like who's in the performance of Shakespeare. Thank you.
Okay, great. Are you interested in performing? You never done it before. Would you would you just like to just watch?
I'd like to just watch, sir.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and you can still see when you're out of the stream, correct? So I'll go ahead and remove you. And all right. So we've got this dinner open. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 names I have to remove. Actually, Elizabeth isn't with us today, so I'll remove her from this. And okay, we're spinning to see who will perform the first monologue. Okay, Bill. So that's a good welcome back to Bill. He hasn't been with us the last 2 weeks, and he's going to be the first one to perform today. So, Bill, which wheel do you want? The male or the gender neutral?
The male, please.
Okay. So Bill is going to perform a male Shakespeare monologue, and we're spinning to see what he's going to perform for us. You're going to do Dogberry. That's
Dogberry.
Okay.
4, 2. Okay.
Act 4, Scene 2, the very end. After and if you want your cue, you are an ass. There it is. You are an ass. Now you respond.
Act 4, Scene 2. And my cue is you are an ass.
Yes. Away, you are an ass. You are an ass.
I just found it. Okay. Dost thou not suspect my place? Dost thou not suspect my years? Oh, that he were here to write me down an ass. But masters, remember that I am an ass. Though it be not written down, yet forget not that I am an ass. Know thou, villain, thou art full of piety, as shall be proved upon thee by good witness. I am a wise fellow, and which is more, an officer, and which is more, a householder, and which is more, as pretty a piece of flesh as any is in Messina, and one that knows the law. Go to. And a rich fellow enough. Go to. And a fellow that hath had losses, and one that hath 2 gowns and everything handsome about him. Bring him away. Oh, that I had been writ down an ass.
Okay. I'm going back to when we're not performing. I'll put all 6 of us in here. Since Matthew said he didn't want to play, he just wanted to watch. So that this way we can get the 6 of us that do want to play can still be in there. Okay, so great job, Bill. The 5 of us remaining on the wheel. The person who will go next will be right on the line, Maggie or Sheila will go next.
Yeah. Gender neutral, dear.
Okay, so Sheila we don't know if he's going to be a man or a woman. So the gender neutral wheel. Sheila is going to perform.
Ooh.
Oh, Iago, what's he that says I did win? Act 2,
comes up
3.
every other week, it seems like.
Yeah, be the evil person talking to the audience about his wicked plans. Okay, so Act 2, Scene 3. That's toward the very end of the scene.
Alrighty. Scrolling along. Now let me see. Touch me not so near as one. I'm an honest man. Oh, here it is. And what he that says I play the villain, right?
Yeah, it begins with that one.
Okay.
So whenever
And what's he then that says I play the villain? When this advice is free, I give, and honest, probable to thinking, and indeed the course to win the more again. For 'tis most easy the inclining Desdemona to subdue in any honest suit. She's framed as fruitful as the free elements, and then for her to win the more, weren't to renounce his baptism, all seals and symbols of redeemed sin. His soul is so infettered to her love that she may make, unmake, do what she list, even as her appetite shall play the god with his weak function. How am I then a villain to counsel Cassio to this parallel course directly to his good? Divinity of hell, when devils will the blackest sins put on, they do suggest at first with heavenly shows, as I do now. For whiles this honest fool piles Desdemona to repair his fortunes, and she for him pleads strongly to the more, I'll pour this pestilence into his ear that she repeals him for her body's lust, and by how much she strives to do him good, she shall undo her credit with the more. So will I turn her virtue into pitch, and out of her own goodness make the net that shall enmesh them all.
And that guy just makes my eyebrows hurt.
Oh, well, I will say I had a little dyslexia in there, but it was a lovely.
No. It sounded
lovely
good.
dyslexia.
It sounded good.
Thank you.
Very wicked.
Yes, he's just so nasty.
Okay, next monologue will be performed by Okay, Maggie, you're up next.
Oh, predicting. Great. Let's do gender neutral.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so Maggie is going to perform. Oh, Lady Anne, the foul
devil.
Richard III, addressing her future husband who killed her last husband.
Right.
Actually, that can't be. Oh yeah, Act 1, Scene 2 begins around line 49 is where she tells him off.
Okay. Ready.
Let me get you all set up for it.
All right. Tell me when.
Okay, take us.
Okay. Foul devil, for God's sake, hence, and trouble us not. For thou hast made the happy earth thy hell, filled it with cursing cries and deep exclaims. If thou delight to view thy heinous deeds, behold this pattern of thy butcheries. O gentlemen, see, see, dead Henry's wounds open their congealed mouths and bleed afresh. Blush, blush, thou lump of foul deformity, for 'tis thy presence that it exhales this blood from cold and empty veins where no blood dwells. Thy deed, inhuman and unnatural, provokes this deluge most unnatural. O God, which this blood madest, revenge his death. O earth, which this blood drinkst, revenge his death. Either heaven with lightning strike the murderer dead, or earth gape open wide and eat him quick, as thou dost swallow up this good king's blood, which his hell-governed arm hath butchered. It's so fun to get to just be that kind of person and say it, where you shouldn't be doing it, much better than in my normal life.
You have an imaginary scene partner. You can direct your fury, which is...
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, really, the internet is just saving us during this pandemic.
Yes.
You don't even, we're not even physically present, and we can still unleash this much fury.
I feel that. It's true.
Okay, back to the wheel. The 3 remaining players. Next will be... Okay, looks like I'm next, and I'll stick to the gender neutral wheel. Okay, so I will be performing Viola. I left no, so I'll be. This will be like in Shakespeare's time, with the girls dressing up as guys gag. It was extra funny in the sense that you had a guy pretending to be a girl pretending to be a guy. When you think about it, that adds an additional level of humor that we don't appreciate in the 21st century. But now we'll see it again. Gender neutral. Okay, let me find that. It's Act 2, Scene 2. Okay, so Malvolio just threw the ring back to me. I'm surprised because I know that all right, here we go. I left no ring with her. What means this, lady? Fortune forbid my outside have not charmed her. She made good view of me, indeed, so much that sure methought her eyes had lost her tongue. For she did speak and starts distractedly. She loves me, sure. The cunning of her passion invites me in this churlish messenger. None of my lord's ring. Why, he sent her none. I am the man. If it be so as 'tis, poor lady, she were better love a dream. Disguise I see thou art a wickedness, wherein the pregnant enemy does much. How easy is it for the proper false in woman's waxen hearts to set their forms? Alas, our frailty is the cause, not we. For such as we are made of, such we be. How will this fadge? My master loves her dearly, and I, poor monster, fond as much on him, and she, mistaken, seems to dote on me. What will become of this? As I am a man, my state is desperate for my master's love. As I am woman, now alas the day, what thriftless sights shall poor Olivia breathe? O time, thou must untangle this, not I. It is too hard a knot for me to untie. Hey, that was fun. That was totally brand new for me. Having played Malvolio before,
Oh my gosh.
that was one of my, that's probably, if there's any role that I've played before that I'd love to do again and again and again, it's that one. But
I'd like to play that role.
It's interesting reacting to the character that I once played. that was interesting for that scene. Okay, so let's see, back to the wheel. We've just got Paul and Alex are the only two that haven't performed yet. And it looks like Alex will go next. Alex, do you want to stick to the male wheel, or
may I just pick something, because I'm still a beginner in Shakespeare and I would like to perform something that I've actually read, if that's not a problem.
You know, that's fine. Ordinarily, I say that the idea of the game is, if nobody else has an objection, I think we can we can have him perform something since he's new. If you prepared something, go for it. Unless somebody else has an objection. Okay, let's
right.
let me remove everybody. But you and myself, and then before you start, tell us what have you prepared? What are you going to be performing?
The second soliloquy of Hamlet. It is in Act 1, Scene 5.
Act 1, Scene 5. So okay, so you're going to be Hamlet. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second. Let me adjust the. Okay, so Alex is going to be performing Hamlet for us. Whenever you're ready, go for it.
O you host of heaven, O earth, what else? And shall I couple hell? Halt my heart. I knew my sinews grow not instant old, but bear me swiftly up. Remember thee? I, thou poor ghost, while memory holds a seat in this distracted globe. Remember thee? Yeah, from the table of my memory, I wipe away all trivial font records, all soughs of books, all forms, all pressures past, that youth and observation copied there. And thy commandment all alone shall live within the book and volume of my brain, unmixed with baser matter. Yes, by heaven! Oh, most pernicious woman! Oh, villain, smiling damned villain! My tables, meet it is, I set it down, that one may smile and be a villain. At least, I'm sure it may be so in Denmark.
Awesome. Very good for a beginner. That's awesome. That's another character responding to a character I once played on stage. Wanting to ghost. The ghost has just told him the truth about,
Exactly.
who killed me, setting things in motion. Okay, so Paul is the only one that has. Oh, actually, somebody I've left out of the stream by mistake. Sorry, Maggie, I didn't mean to leave you out. So Paul, do you want to do gender neutral or?
Yes. Let's try that.
Okay, so Paul will do the last monologue, and then we'll switch to two-person scenes. So Paul is going to be doing. This. Oh, we did. It's funny. Elizabeth, who was not here with us last week, did this one, and now Paul's going to do it. So when we just found out that Falstaff has just died, and the people at the Boar's Head are remembering him, and Mistress quickly speaks. So,
and that's Henry V.
Henry V, Act 2, Scene 3, for the very beginning.
Okay, going there.
You got it?
Right. Yeah, I have it.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Nay, sure, he's not in hell. He's in Arthur's bosom. If ever man went to Arthur's bosom, he made a finer end and went away, and it had been any Christum child. He parted even just between 12 and 1, even at the turning of the tide. For after I saw him fumble with the sheets and play with flowers and smile upon his fingers' end, I knew there was but one way, for his nose was as sharp as a pen, and he talked of green fields. How now, Sir John, quoth I, what man be of the good cheer? So he cried out, God, 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 3 or 4 times. Now I, to comfort him, bid him he should not think of God. I hoped there was no need to trouble himself with any such thoughts yet. So he bade me lay more clothes on his feet. And I put my hand into the bed and felt them, and they were as cold as any stone. And I felt to his knees, and so upward, and all was as cold as any stone.
Good. That's always interesting when one person spins something and shortly after somebody else, so we can see a different actor's take on the same bit of script. And it's funny when Elizabeth spun it last week. I didn't. If you weren't with us last week, a new thing that we added to it is the wild card, where if you spin wild card, you get to do whatever you want. And Elizabeth mentioned the irony. She couldn't believe it. That's what she had chosen as what she was going to perform anyway if she won the wild card.
She did it so beautifully. She did it so
totally. But Paul just spun it randomly, and he did very well without the preparation. And again, that's kind of the idea of the game: without preparation, how well do you know Shakespeare? Okay, so everybody's done a monologue at this point. We will now randomly pair, so 6 people, so we'll do 3 scenes. We'll pair 2 at a time. The first group that's going to perform together will be the first 2 actors to go together. Will be Bill And so Bill's going to perform with Alex.
Oh, nice.
So Bill and Alex will perform. So I get two males.
Mhm. I'm sorry in advance, I'm a beginner when it comes to Shakespeare, and I'm not an actor as well.
Yeah.
That's no problem.
Okay, so Bill and Alex are going to perform.
Ooh.
From the Winter's Tale, so Leontes and Camillo. So Leontes, I'm trying to remember the background of the scene. I know Leontes is the person who's insanely jealous of his wife, thinks she's cheating on him with his best friend, and he sends somebody. I believe, I'm not as familiar with this play. Too bad Elizabeth's not here. Elizabeth knows the play real well. She was talking about it. I believe Camillo is the servant that Leontes, I believe the context is this where he's ordering him to go kill. I forget what the other character was, the best friend that he thinks is sleeping with his wife. Okay, so Bill, go ahead and call it. Does either of you have a preference for who's going to be Leontes or who's going to be Camillo? Or do
No, I don't. As a matter of fact, I'm looking for the speech or the dialogue.
Yeah.
I also don't mind
seeing
take it either.
One, scene two.
Do you have it already?
Okay, I'll let you flip for it. So Bill heads, Leontes, tails. Okay, so I got tails, so that'll be Alex will be Leontes and Bill will be Camillo.
Okay, I noticed that the dialogue begins after exit Mamilius.
Mm-hmm.
So who has the first line between the two?
It says
Camillo.
exit Mamilius and Leontes has a line.
Okay, so
Alex
are Leontes.
This one? No. No, Camillo is the next one, at least according to the text that I am currently looking at. After exit Mamilius.
Okay. So Camillo says, you had much ado to make his anchor hold when you cast out. It still came home.
Didst note it?
He would not stay at your petition, has made his business more material.
Didst perceive it? They're here with me already, whispering, rounding. Cecilia is so forth, 'tis far gone. When I shall gust it last. How cam'd Camillo? That he did stay?
At the good queen's entreaty.
Oh, the queen's bad good should be pertinent, but so it is not. Was this taken by any understanding paid but thine? For thy conceit is soaking, withdrawing, more than the common blocks, not noted is't, but of the finer natures, by some severals, of headpiece extraordinary, lower masses, perchance are to this business purblind, say.
Business, my lord. I think most understand Bohemia stays here longer.
Ha!
Stays here longer.
Aye, but why?
To satisfy your highness and the entreaties of our most gracious mistress.
Satisfy the entreaties of your mistress, satisfy. Let that suffice. I have trusted thee, Camillo, with all the nearest things to my heart, as well my chamber counsels, wherein priest-like thou hast cleansed my bosom. I from thee departed, thy penitent and reformed, but we have been deceived in thy integrity, deceived in that which seems so.
Be it forbid, my lord.
To bite upon thou art not honest, or, if thou inclinest that way, thou art a coward, which hoxes honestly behind, restraining from curse required, or else thou must be counted a servant grafted in my serious trust, and therein negligent, or else a fool, that sees the game played home, the rich stake drawn, and takes it all for jest.
My gracious Lord, I may be negligent, foolish, and fearful. In every one of these, no man is free, but that his negligence, his folly, fear, among the infinite doings of the world, sometimes put forth. In your affairs, my Lord, if ever I were willful negligent, it was my folly. If industriously I played the fool, it was my negligence, not weighing well the end. If ever fearful to do a thing where the issue doubted, whereof the execution did cry out against the non-performance, 'twas a fear which oft infects the wisest. These, my Lord, are such allowed infirmities that honesty is never free of. But beseech your grace, be plainer with me. Let me know my trespass by its own visage. If I then deny it, 'tis none of mine.
Ha! Not you seen, Camillo, but that's past doubt you have, or your eyeglass is thicker than a cock's horn, or hurt. For to a vision so apparent, rumor cannot be mute, or thought for cogitation resides not in that man that does not think. My wife is slippery, if thou wilt confess, or else be impudently negative, to have no eyes, no ears, no thought, then say, my life's a hobby horse, deserves a name, as rank as any flax wench that puts to before her throat plight. Say it and justify it.
I would not be a stander by to hear my sovereign mistress clouded so, without my present vengeance taken. Shrew my heart, you never spoke what did become you less than this, which to reiterate were sin as deep as that, though true.
Is whispering nothing? Is leaning cheek to cheek? Is meeting noses? Kissing with inside lip? Stopping the career of laughing with a sigh? A note infallible of breaking honesty? Horsing foot on foot? Skulking in corners? Wishing clocks more swift? Hours, minutes, noon, midnight? And all eyes blind with the pin and web but theirs only, that would unseen be wicked? Is this nothing? Why, then the world and all that's in is nothing? The covering sky is nothing, bohemian nothing, my wife is nothing, nor nothing have these nothings, if this be nothing.
Good my Lord, be cured of this diseased opinion, and betimes, for 'tis most dangerous.
Say it be, 'tis true.
No, my Lord.
It is, you lie, you lie. I say thou liest, Camillo, and I hate thee. Pronounce thee a gross lout, a mindless slave, or else a hovering temporizer that canst with thine eyes at once see good and evil, inclining to them both. Were my life's liver infected as her life, she would not live the running of one glass.
Who does infect her?
Why, he that wears her like a medal, hanging about his neck, Bohemia. Who, if I had servants true about me that bear eyes to see alike mine honor as their profits, their own particular thrifts, they would do that which should and do more doing. I and thou, his cupbearer, whom I from manner form have benched and reared to worship, who mayst see plainly as heaven sees earth and earth sees heaven, how I am God, mightst despise a cup, to give mine enemy a lasting wink, which draught to me were cordial.
Sir, my Lord, I could do this, and that with no rash potion, but with a lingering dram that should not work maliciously like poison. But I cannot believe this crack to be in my dread mistress, so sovereignty being honorable, I have loved thee.
Make that thy question, and go rot. Dost think I am so muddy, so unsettled, to appoint myself in this vexation, Sally, the purity and whiteness of my sheets, which to preserve is sleep, which being spotted is golds, thorns, nettles, tails of wasps, give scandal to the blood of the prince my son, who I do think is mine and love is mine, without right moving tooth. Would I do this? Could man so blanch?
I must believe you, sir. I do, and will fetch off Bohemia for it, provided that when he's removed, your highness will take again your queen as yours at first, even for your son's sake, and thereby for sealing the injury of tongues in courts and kingdoms known and allied to yours.
Thou dost advise me, even so I am mine own course have set down. I'll give no blemish to her honor, none.
My lord, and go then, and with a countenance as clear as friendship wears at feasts, keep Bohemia with your queen. I am his cupbearer. If from me he have wholesome beverage, account me not your servant.
This is all. Do and thou hast the one half of my heart. Do not thou spillst thine own.
I'll do it, my lord.
I will seem friendly, as thou hast advised me.
Oh, should I continue?
Oh, that's the end. Oh, wait.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay, great. He said, is this nothing? Yeah, it is nothing, because the rest of the play is going to show. All hell breaks loose because of this. Okay. Anyway, Maggie has been. Maggie, are you? Can you hear us? Okay.
Yes, I can. For most of this, up until these last few minutes, I had not heard one complete sentence. I kept getting kicked off. I wasn't doing it, but I'm able to right now. So because I think I wrote you a little note and said I don't know if I'll be able to hear a partner.
Yeah, I saw that while you were performing. You sent me a message saying that you've lost, and I'd even taken you off the wheel. But now that the things are good, I'll put you back on. So
Okay, fingers crossed.
Okay, so we put Maggie back on. That was great. The Winter's Tale scene. So we get 2 more players for the next scene. Okay, so Sheila is going to perform with. Forgot to take her off. So Celia will perform with Paul. Okay. So Sheila and Paul are going to do okay, the is Prospero and Miranda. So Prospero and daughter, why?
Father and daughter.
Yep.
Father and daughter, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
father and daughter. Prospero has just created the storm that shipwrecked the people on the island. That's going to set in motion the rest of the play, and he's explaining to his daughter, he's explaining to her the backstory plus what his plan is. That's going to create this story here. So Prospero and Miranda in the first scene, and Paul and Sheila.
Okay, why? I'm looking at Tempest 1-1.
Oh, wait.
And I see Sebastian and Mariners. Let's see.
It's got to be, maybe it's scene 2? Is that possible?
Maybe you're right. I got that. I was thinking it's the first scene. It's actually, there's the first scene, which is showing the sailors on the ship, and then another scene that shows the result of that shipwreck. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'll have to fix that on the wheel. So I got it wrong. It should be Act 1, Scene 2.
And we should, now I fall asleep halfway through, so I think we should stop once I'm asleep, right?
Sure. Yeah. It's actually 2. I mean, we can, now that I think about it, there's the 2 of them speak, and then Miranda falls asleep, and then he calls in his servant Caliban, and they jostle with each other, and then he leaves, and Miranda, I'm glad you brought that up. I think maybe I'll adjust the wheel to specify whether it's before or after Miranda sleeps, so we can get 2 out of this. So it's your preference. If you want to do the part before she sleeps or after she sleeps, go ahead. Let me know.
What do you say, Paul? Want to start at the beginning?
Oh, whatever you want to do. Yeah, we can start at the beginning.
Okay, so whenever you guys are ready.
If by your art, my dearest father, you have put the wild waters in this roar, allay them. The sky, it seems, would pour down stinking pitch, but that the sea, mounting to the welkin's cheek, dashes the fire out. Oh, I have suffered with those that I saw suffer. A brave vessel, who had no doubt some noble creature in her, dashed all to pieces. Oh, the cry did knock against my very heart. Poor souls, they perished. Had I been any god of power, I would have sunk the sea within the earth, or ere it should the good ship so have swallowed, and the frotting souls within her.
Be collected. No more amazement. Tell your piteous heart there's no harm done.
Oh, woe the day!
No harm. I have done nothing but in care of thee, my dear one, thee, my daughter, who art ignorant of what thou art, not knowing of whence I am, nor that I am more better than Prospero, master of a full poor cell, and thy no greater father.
More to know did never meddle with my thoughts.
'Tis time I should inform thee farther. Lend thy hand and pluck my magic garment from me. Lie there, my art. Wipe thou thine eyes. Have comfort. The direful spectacle of the rack, which touched the very virtue of compassion in thee, I have with such provision in mine art so safely ordered that there is no soul. No, not so much perdition as an hair betid to any creature in the vessel which thou heardst cry, which thou saw'st sink. Sit down, for thou must now know farther.
You've often begun to tell me what I am, but stopped and left me to a bootless inquisition, concluding, stay not yet.
The hour's not come. The very minute bids thee ope thine ear. Obey and be attentive. Canst thou remember a time before we came unto this cell? I do not think thou canst, for then thou wast not out 3 years old.
Certainly, sir, I can.
By what? By any other house or person? Of anything the image tell me that hath kept with thy remembrance?
It is far off, and rather like a dream than an assurance that my remembrance warrants. Had I not 4 or 5 women once that tended me?
Thou hadst, and more, Miranda. But how is it that this lives in thy mind? What seest thou else in the dark backward and abysm of time? If thou rememberest aught ere thou camest here, how thou camest here, thou mayst.
But that I do not.
12 years since, Miranda, 12 years since, thy father was the Duke of Milan and a prince of power.
Sir, are not you my father?
The mother was a piece of virtue, and she said thou wast my daughter, and thy father was Duke of Milan, and his only heir and princess no worse issued.
Oh, the heavens! Oh, what foul play had we that we came from thence, or blessed wast we did?
Both, my girl. By foul play, as thou sayest, were we heaved thence, but blessingly hopped hither.
Oh, my heart bleeds to think of the teen that I have turned you to, which is from my remembrance. Please you, farther.
My brother and thy uncle, called Antonio, I pray thee, mark me, that a brother should be so perfidious. He whom next thyself of all the world I loved, and to him put the manage of my state, as at that time through all the signories it was the first, and Prospero, the prime duke, being so reputed in dignity and for the liberal arts without a parallel, those being all my study, the government I cast upon my brother, and to my state grew stranger, being transported and wrapped in secret studies, thy false uncle. Dost thou attend him?
Sir, most heedfully.
Being once perfected how to grant suits, how to deny them, who to advance and who to trash for overtopping, new created and creatures that were mine, I say, or change them, or else new form them, having both the key of officer and office, set all hearts of the state to what tune pleased his ear, that now he was the ivy which had hid my princely trunk and sucked my verdure out on't. Thou attend'st not.
Oh, good sir, I do.
I pray thee, mark me. I, thus neglecting worldly ends, all dedicated to closeness and the bettering of my mind with that which, but by being so retired, or prized all popular rate, in my false brother awakened an evil nature, and my trust, like a good parent, did beget of him a falsehood in its contrary as great as my trust was, which had indeed no limit, a confidence sans bound, he being thus lorded, not only with what my revenue yielded, but what my power might else extract, like one who, having into truth by telling of it, made such a sinner of his memory to credit his own lie, he did believe he was indeed the duke, out of the substitution and executing the outward face of royalty, and all prerogative, hence his ambition growing. Dost thou hear?
Your tale, sir, would cure deafness.
To have no screen between this part he played and him he played it for, he needs will be absolute Milan. He, poor man, my library was dukedom large enough, of temporal royalties. He thinks me now incapable, confederates. So drive he was forsway with a king of Naples to give him annual tribute, do him homage, subject his coronet to his crown, and bend the dukedom, yet unbowed. Alas, poor Milan, to most ignoble stooping.
Oh, the heavens.
Mark his condition and the event, then tell me if this might be a brother.
I should sin to think but nobly of my grandmother. Good wombs have borne bad sons.
Now the condition. This king of Naples, being an enemy to me, inveterate, hearkens my brother's suit, which was that he, in lieu of the premises of homage, and I know not how much tribute, should presently extirpate him and mine out of the dukedom, and confer fair Milan with all the honors on my brother, whereon a treacherous army levied one midnight, fated the purpose, did Antonio open the gates of Milan, and in the dead of darkness the ministers for the purpose hurried thence me and thy crying self.
Alack, for pity! I, not remembering how I cried out then, will cry it o'er again. It is a hint that rings mine eyes to it.
Hear a little further, and then I'll bring thee to the present business, which now appons, without the which this story were most impertinent.
Wherefore did they not that hour destroy us?
Well demanded, wench. My tale provokes that answer. Dear, thou durst not, so dear the love my people bore me, nor set a mark so bloody on the business, but with colours fairer painted their foul ends. In few they hurried us aboard a bark, bore us some leagues to sea, where they prepared a rotten carcass of a butt, not rigged, nor tackle, sail, nor mast. The very rats instinctively had quit it. There they hoist us to cry the sea that roared to us, to sigh the winds whose pity, sighing back again, did us but loving wrong.
Alack, what trouble was I then to you?
Oh, a cherubim, thou wast that did preserve me. Thou didst smile, infused with a fortitude from heaven. When I have decked the sea with drops full salt, under my burden groaned, which raised in me an undergoing stomach to bear up against what should ensue.
How came we ashore?
By providence divine. Some food we had and some fresh water that a noble Neapolitan, Gonzalo, out of his charity, who being then appointed master of this design, did give us, with rich garments, linens, stuffs, and necessities, which since have steaded much so of his gentleness. Knowing I loved my books, he furnished me from mine own library with volumes that I prize above my dukedom.
Oh, would I might but ever see that man.
Now I arise, sit still, and hear the last of our sea sorrow. Here in this island we arrived, and here have I, thy schoolmaster, made thee more profit than other princes can that have more time for vainer hours and tutors not so careful.
Oh, heavens thank you for it. And now, I pray you, sir, for still 'tis beating in my mind, your reason for raising this sea storm.
Know thus far forth. By accident most strange, bountiful fortune, now my dear lady, hath mine enemies brought to this shore, and by my prescience I find my zenith doth depend upon a most auspicious star, whose influence, if now I court not, but omit, my fortunes will ever after droop. Here cease more questions. Thou art inclined to sleep. 'Tis a good dullness, and give it way. I know thou canst not choose. Come away, servant, come. I am ready now.
That's amazing.
Okay, so that just leaves myself and Maggie to perform the last scene together.
Good.
And you're still good with your connection, right? So
Yeah, it's been solid. Yeah, I heard that whole thing.
okay, great. So you should be fine to perform with me. So myself and Maggie are going to do. I've done them twice before. I think.
Okay, pick something else. I'm not attached.
Yeah, I did it once with Elizabeth and a second time with. Was it you the second time?
It's so, I don't think so, but it's so interesting how with all the choices that are on the wheel, some of the same ones keep coming up.
Yeah.
It's weighted somehow. You might have.
I know.
I'm sure the viewers are getting sick of seeing me do Benedict in that same one. So I'm spinning again.
Yeah, that's great.
There we go.
All's well.
All's well, begins well. Oh, Parolles and Helena. So this is Helena, the very first scene, the Parolles, the braggart. Let's see where this one starts.
Looks like about a third of the way down, maybe. Exit Bertram and the few.
I see. Goes enter Parolles, and then Helena says aside, "Oh, that goes with him. I love him for his sake." Yeah, or
Oh no, doesn't it start with a long speech by Helena? Oh, were that all?
yes. In fact, so Parolles enters in the middle of that.
Yes.
So yeah, you can hold on. Give me a second. Get this set up, and
Sure.
And yeah, you can start with that, and I'll put like just you in it, and then
Okay.
I'll enter the stream when Parolles enters.
Great.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Banner.
Tell me when.
Sure. Oops. Okay, so whenever you're ready, Maggie, go ahead and start the monologue that starts this scene.
Okay. Oh, were that all? I think not on my father, and these great tears grace his remembering more than those I shed for him. What was he like? I have forgot him. My imagination carries no favor in't but Bertram's. I'm undone. There is no living, none, if Bertram be away. 'Twere all one that I should love a bright particular star and think to wed it. He is so above me. In his bright radiance and collateral light must I be comforted, not in his sphere. The ambition in my love thus plagues itself. The hind that would be mated by the lion must die for love. 'Twas pretty, though plagued, to see him every hour, to sit and draw his arched eyebrows, his hawking eye, his curls in our heart's table. Heart too capable of every line and trick of his sweet favor. But now he's gone, and my idolatrous fancy must sanctify his relics. Oh, who comes here? Oh, one that goes with him. I love him for his sake, and yet I know him a notorious liar, think him a great way fool, solely a coward. Yet these fixed evils sit so fit in him that they take place when virtue's steely bones look bleak in the cold wind. Withal, full oft we see cold wisdom waiting on superfluous folly.
Save you, fair queen.
And you, monarch.
No.
And no.
Are you meditating on virginity?
Aye, you have some stain of soldier in you. Let me ask you a question. Man is enemy to virginity. How may we barricado it against him?
Keep him out.
But he assails, and our virginity, though valiant, in the defense yet is weak. Unfold to us some warlike resistance.
There is none. Man sitting down before you will undermine you and blow you up.
Oh, bless our poor virginity from underminers and blowers up. Is there no military policy how virgins might blow up men?
Virginity being blown down, man will quicklier be blown up. Mary, in blowing him down again with the breach yourselves made, you lose your city. And is not politic in the commonwealth of nature to preserve virginity? Loss of virginity is rational increase, and there was never virgin got till virginity was first lost. That you were made of is metal to make virgins. Virginity, by being once lost, may be 10 times found. By being ever kept, it is ever lost. And 'tis too cold a companion. Away with!
I stand for it a little, though therefore I die a virgin.
There's little can be said on't. 'Tis against the rule of nature. To speak on the part of virginity is to accuse your mothers, which is most infallible disobedience. He that hangs himself is a virgin. Virginity murders itself and should be buried. It should be buried in highways out of all sanctified limit. as a desperate offendress against nature. Virginity breeds mites, much like a cheese, consumes itself to the very paring, and so dies with feeding his own stomach. Virginity is peevish, proud, idle, made of self-love, which is the most inhibited sin in the canon. Keep it not. You cannot choose but lose by it. Out with it! Within 10 years it will make itself 10, which is a goodly increase. And the principle itself not much the worse. Away with it!
Well, how might one do, sir, to lose it to her own liking?
Let me see. Marry ill to like him that ne'er it likes. 'Tis a commodity will lose the gloss with lying. The longer kept, the less worth. Off with it. While 'tis venerable, answer the time of request. Virginity, like an old courtier, wears her cap out of fashion, richly suited, but unsuitable. Just like the brooch and the toothpick, which wear not now. Your date is better in your pie and your porridge than in your cheek. And your virginity, your old virginity, is like one of our French withered pears. It looks ill, it eats dryly. Marry, 'tis a withered pear. It was formerly better. Marry, yet 'tis a withered pear. You anything with it?
Not my virginity yet. There shall your masters have 1,000 loves, a mother and a mistress and a friend, a phoenix, captain and an enemy, a guide, a goddess and a sovereign, a counselor, a traitress and a dear, his humble ambition, proud humility, his jarring concord, and his discord dulcet, his faith, his sweet disaster, with a world of pretty, fond, adoptious Christendoms, that blinking Cupid gossips. Now shall he, I know not what he shall. God send him well. The court's a learning place, and he is one.
What one, in faith?
That I wish well. 'Tis pity.
What's pity?
That wishing well had not a body in't, which might be felt, that we, the poorer born, whose baser stars do shut us up in wishes, might with effects of them follow our friends, and show what we alone must think, which never return us thanks.
Little Helen, farewell. If I can remember thee, I will think of thee at court.
Monsieur Parent, you were born under a charitable star.
Under Mars, I
especially think under Mars.
Why under Mars?
The wars have so kept you under that you must needs be born under Mars.
When he was predominant.
When he was retrograde, I think, rather.
Why think you so?
You go so much backward when you fight.
That's for advantage.
Oh, so is running away when fear proposes the safety. But the composition that your valor and fear makes in you is a virtue of good wing, and I like the wear well.
I am so full of business, I cannot answer thee acutely. I will return perfect courtier, in the which my instructions shall serve to naturalize thee. So wilt be capable of courtier's counsel, to understand what advice shall thrust upon thee. Else thou diest in thine own unthankfulness, and thine ignorance makes thee away. Farewell! When thou hast leisure, say thy prayers. When thou hast none, remember thy friends. Get thee a good husband, and use him as he uses thee. So farewell.
Our remedies often ourselves do lie, which we ascribe to heaven. The fated sky gives us free scope, only doth backward pull our slow designs when we ourselves are dull. What power is it which mounts my love so high, that makes me see and cannot feed mine eye? The mightiest space in fortune nature brings to join like likes and kiss like native things. Impossible be strange attempts to those that weigh their pains in sense, and do suppose what hath been cannot be. Who ever strove to show her merit that did miss her love? The king's disease, my project may deceive me, but my intents are fixed and will not leave me. Well,
Hey, awesome.
congratulate me for not slapping him during that speech. I mean, come on.
Yeah, this was very graphic, Mark.
Yeah.
Was that typical for speech in that era, or was Shakespeare just being very adventurous?
I think, well, typical of speech probably on the stage. This is the kind of thing that illustrates, why women were not allowed on the Elizabethan stage.
Or in the audience, perhaps. I don't know.
No, they were there.
Even the audience, it was. That's why mixed company was such a yeah. When it's all men, probably the answer to your question would be yes. Otherwise, absolutely not. You go from complete. I think that's society. You go from complete prudes when women are present to when they're not. You talk like this.
Yeah. Locker room talk. Got it. Okay.
Locker room talk.
Oh, by the way, Maggie, you look absolutely radiant. That background suits you, and you have a wonderful glow.
Well, thank you. That's so kind of you. I'm always worried about my lighting here, but there's not a whole lot I can do about it today. So this is going to be it. Thank you.
Lovely.
I want to get a green I want to get a green screen behind me eventually, so I can. I said something about my place not being very tidy, and the man that I was working with, he had his green screen was a background of a house, and it was, of course, completely tidy. And he's going, "I know exactly what you mean."
Oh yes.
Thank you.
It's not difficult to get one, but finding the space in
yes, you're right.
Challenge.
That's really what I need.
Yeah.
I saw somebody was marketing something that clips on the back of your chair and goes out about 2.5 feet outside, but you have to be in very much of a close-up. If you're going to be back even as far as I am, I'm sure it would show around the edges.
You're probably right.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you for waiting,
Thank
for
you.
having been patient with me.
I think this was a good game we had today. This was a lot of fun. Stay tuned for next week's. Should also announce myself and Sheila are in the Eager Beaver.
Maggie.
So I'm trying to.
Oh yeah, I forgot. So Maggie's joining us. That's 3 of us are joining that. So that's going to be on Zoom. Vincent has a Zoom link. I'll try to also create something on StreamYard so I can stream it to YouTube, so you can watch that here if you're interested. That's tomorrow, 12:30 California time, 3:30 East Coast time. So Taming of the Shrew tomorrow at that time. It's a reading.
Yeah.
It's done on Zoom, but I link it to here on StreamYard so that it can stream to YouTube. But I'll also include the link to Zoom as well if you'd like to watch it straight from there. So hope you'll join us for that. Join us next week. We'll see you guys real soon.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here. Can't do it without you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.